Really open, huh? I don't want to. Yeah, Michel.
So I represent the College of Conservation, I mean NGOs in conservation, International NGOs College. So I'm new in this college, but again, it's a good question you're asking. What's the added value of CPFP? If we have Comifac, if we have CAC. But thinking loudly, CBFP is to get all the partners working together. But at the same time, within Comifac, I think there is a working group on biodiversity. But the question is that working group including private sector in type of the discussion, is including research institutions? Is that working group including donors and other civil society organizations? So I think CBFP has a relevance, but it has to fit within the framework of Comifac, which is a commission that has been created by states. It has the political legitimacy. It has a convening power. But how the two institutions, I mean, I don't know if CBFP is informal or it has been created by states. So we have to understand the legal instrument that has created CBFP. We also to understand how the information that comes from CBFP fits into Comifac, because it's an institution that has been created by state. It has that, as I said, it has a political legitimacy, but we can use CBFP and other mechanisms to strengthen Comifac so that they can guide and other estimates for sustainable management of natural resources in the region.
Yeah. I'm also representative of the International NGO group college, and I agree that having established that CBFP has a political legitimacy and a reason to exist, I think we look at the advantages of the CBFP, which is that it's small actually, and on that poster behind you it says un partenariat durable pour un changement transformationnel. So we have the opportunity to really look at things in a more nimble and agile way, and really look at what can be transformational, and we're not sort of stuck with a lot of procedures and a lot of political stuff that we have to get. I think that's our advantage, is that we're small and nimble and agile, and that we can discuss very easily among ourselves, because how much more difficult would it be to hold a meeting of COMIFAC compared to holding a meeting of the college representative of CBFP, for example. So I think that's our advantage, and we need to use that and apply that where it's most useful in creating that transformational change. So we're not just a smaller COMIFAC, we're a different thing, and that's our advantage, I think.
The question is, how do we use our network to influence COMIFAC? College.
Thanks for that. Yeah, I feel like maybe I've spoken to a few of you about this a lot over the past year. So I've been co-chairing the Donor College for about 14 months now, and I think the one thing that really strikes me about CBFP is the potential on the coordination piece. So the governance structures are there in theory with all the colleges, but in practice they're not capitalizing on the opportunities to coordinate better. Every sector I've spoken to over the past year and a half, a consensus complaint on the region is there's no good coordination between inside groups, so between donors, but also between groups, so between donors and civil society, between national government and INGOs, etc. And on paper, CBFP really provides the opportunity to take on that and make an impact and progress. And if you get that right with coordination, you improve collaboration, you improve trust, and you improve delivery on the ground, which is ultimately the end of the line, and is what we're all trying to achieve, is being out in the rainforest with local communities, making a difference. And that comes back to programming, and I talk about it in every college session that I chair, right? Like, we need to talk more about what programming we're all doing, whether we're multilateral, donors, whatever, and then we need to talk more to the beneficiaries and the implementing partners, the INGOs, civil societies, local communities, to hear whether our programming is working. Because in my experience, a lot of the time, it's not working. It fails regularly. Why is that? We have a system that we could all communicate with each other within. We just need to do it properly. That's what I see CBFP as. I agree, it's nimble and agile. We have, people know it, but I feel like people don't know what it's supposed to do. We have a meeting of parties every year. We had the Transhumanist Conference, but there's still this, like, every time I speak to somebody about CBFP, they're like, yeah, I know that, but what does it do again? It'd be great to fix that, and it's there. We need to just take it forward. So this is a perfect example, but doing this more, meeting with the other colleges, talking to the civil society college, the academic college, the NGO college. What are you doing in the region? What do you need? What are your problems? Can we work together to fix it? Simple as that. That would be great from my perspective. Yeah, that's from a donor college perspective anyway. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Please allow me to continue in French. So, en tant qu'ATIBT, je vais présenter les préoccupations de l'ATIBT d'abord au plan général dans son rôle d'appui à la facilitation. Donc, nous souhaiterions qu'il y ait de la transversalité. Entre les activités des différents collèges. Oui. Autre chose, nous souhaiterions qu'il y ait une meilleure diversité pour les membres du secteur privé, avec si possible la participation du secteur, la participation des entreprises minières. Et si possible qu'il y ait des rencontres en virtuel avec entre deux grandes réunions du PFBC pour réunir les leaders des collèges avec les membres afin de mieux préparer les situations. Maintenant, au plan purement du secteur privé, ce que nous proposons, c'est qu'il y ait un plaidoyer au plan institutionnel pour obtenir les cadres réglementaires clairs et compréhensifs, car sans ce cadre réglementaire, le secteur risque parfois d'être tiré vers l'informel. Nous souhaiterons également qu'il y ait un cadre de dialogue autour des décisions politiques et également donner du temps à la filière pour s'organiser. Autre chose, nous pensons que les orientations de la filière devraient être faites sur des bases scientifiques. C'est notamment le cas des décisions prises par la CITES. Nous pensons que cela pourrait également intéresser le PFBC. Donc pour finir, nous pensons également que le développement des essences moins connues représente un enjeu d'avenir pour la filière bois. Donc voilà pour l'instant.
Merci. Yeah, thank you very much. But I would like only to supplement what Dan was saying in terms of coordination mechanism, because we think that based on our experience in implementing the Conservation Action Plan in the Eastern DRC, if there is a coordination mechanism, there is key, conditions or preconditions that should be respected. The first one is to have an organization that will be leading that coordination mechanism, to have a clear communication between the members, and secondly, to have also a monitoring plan or based indicators that we should refer to when we want to assess if the coordination mechanism is working properly. So I just wanted to supplement on what he said, and I agree in everything that he said. Sorry? I'm representing the John Goodall Institute in the DRC, yeah.
Civic society. We will change the place so that I will translate also that you can get the... Okay, and then we come back to the civic society after. Les sciences, collège scientifique.
Merci beaucoup. En ce qui concerne la formation au niveau de l'Afrique centrale, le RIFEA qui est le principal organisme qui forme la plupart du personnel au niveau de la sous-région en termes de directives politiques des différents pays, souhaiterait que cette formation-là soit accompagnée par un plaidoyer au niveau de la COMIFAC qui devrait regarder au niveau des différents États comment mettre en route tous les modulages, tous les curricula qui ont été mis en place par le RIFEAC. Le CFBC peut accompagner la COMIFAC pour uniformiser, harmoniser l'enseignement forestier au niveau d'Afrique centrale. Ça nous permettra justement de former le personnel de demain qui pourra mettre en pratique toutes les directives politiques qui sont aujourd'hui en œuvre au niveau de l'Afrique centrale. Donc le souhait pour nous, c'est de voir comment le CFBC peut accompagner la COMIFAC pour un plaidoyer au niveau des États, au niveau de l'Afrique centrale, pour harmoniser l'enseignement forestier et environnemental.
Une question pour suivre ce que tu viens de dire. Est-ce que tu penses que c'est nécessaire pour que CBFP, comme ils vont faire une analyse pour voir la valeur ajoutée de CBFP, est-ce qu'il y a une étude qui a été déjà faite ou évaluation de voir quelles sont les différences entre différentes institutions supérieures d'enseignement forestier ou est-ce que ce document existe pour que CBFP se base sur ça pour pouvoir advocate pour policy change ou bien harmonisation. Donc, Ouais.
Pour tous les organismes, parce que le RIFEAC regroupe 30 institutions universitaires et techniques réparties dans 9 pays d'Afrique centrale. Donc, une évaluation en cours en ce moment, c'est pour regarder quelles sont les institutions qui sont les mieux placées pour servir de base de locomotive pour tirer les autres, de façon à ce que nous puissions harmoniser l'enseignement au niveau d'Afrique centrale. Donc, il y a une évaluation qui est en cours. Oui.
Bien, je donne.
Yeah, we have two mics. Okay, thank you. So yeah, that I can understand that there's two added value. That's advocacy first, so how to influence Comifac, and that's good timing to do so because Comifac is dealing its next plan de convergence. As you know, you have the plan de convergence 2015, 2025, and we will have another one from 2025. So if we have to make some advocacy, that's the moment. That's exactly the moment and the timing. So that can be a good added value for the CBFP. The second one is to talk together, talk to all the actors. As you said, that's the only partnership in the region that we have private sector, scientific community, donors, the Comifac, the countries. So that's very interesting, and we have to build something on that, in building some more trans-sectoral activities and discussion, including maybe some just 2 hours meeting between two different colleges. So okay, we are donor community, or we are multilateral one, or we have international NGOs, and we have in front of us a scientific community, and so how we have common programs and how we can move in the region on that issue. So that's well noted. I hope our study will go in that way. But we really want to increase the number of virtual meetings. I know everyone has a very busy agenda, so we won't do that each month. But by instance, the next governing council we want to organize will be virtual. And I think we have to use it more, like we don't have to be in presence each time. So we really want to have like governing council. So the next governing council will be on the 28th of November. I hope all leaders will be there, just to let you know. But increase this discussion. And it can also be like kind of a deep dive. We're doing that in the cafe, like some reflection. So on one topic, what the different actors can propose. And after that, how we can propose that to the Comifac or the COAC. And I think it's really important, and that can be a very good added value from the CBFP and all the members. Okay, so that's on the governance. Oh, yeah.
Yes, no, I mean, I'm also learning. I think I'll like to second what Andrew said. Sometimes like, well, what is actually the PFBC doing, you know, and how can we, you know, contribute to that? I think it's a good point. But I was just to add on reflection a bit more regarding. I mean, we're seeing a lot of different sort of initiatives going on, and I mean, this forum, as I understand, is one that covers the whole basin, right? So and we see, even with Swedish money, we have money coming to the basin from many different strategies, from the regional strategy, from our bilateral strategies, from the global strategies. And I'm assuming it's a bit similar with many of the other donors, for example, and also, you know, big international NGOs, of course, you know. So maybe one role can, of course, be to better, you know, clarify what is actually happening all the in the different levels. It can be big programs. You have a country packages for different grades. You have a CAFI. I don't know. It depends on what resources this forum has, in one sense. I don't know if these people also assigned to work specifically on, you know, gathering information, or if you just. But I'm seeing that as a potential also to better get an overview of actually what's happening and take that role. Then it's easier to move this policy work forward, for example. I think now we're actually at the 3 Basin Summit, right? And I mean, I was sitting in the ministerial meeting yesterday, you know, evening, and we're discussing the declaration and so forth. And I mean, they're really trying to say, okay, how can the 3 basins sort of
work together more. And there are quite some challenges with that also because they are in different stages, for example, with scientific training, etc. But maybe also, I don't know if there is a partnership, the similar partnership in other basins like this one. I don't know, maybe there is another. Could we learn from that, for example, then? Also, maybe that could be another potential role that, okay, if we see that the three basins want to coordinate more and learn more, how can we, as you know, create this consortium, this forum as a good place to also transfer knowledge between the different basins. So this is just some reflections and ideas, but I'm not very aware of all of the function of this forum, but just to add some ideas. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, of course we can add that also on the study, and we can ask what is going on the other basin, and if there is something similar that we can take advantage of, or is it very unique? And is it very unique? It's something also good. So okay, and we take it because when we had this talk with the different leaders, and you send all the documents, the 2-page documents, we listed all the activities the different members are doing. It's pretty insane, really. We have a Excel document just with the name of the programs, and Danny made that, so very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, that kind of activities. So some activities are some proposals to like for the co-facilitation. Some are already activities that some members are doing, and I don't know if you can just go down. It's, as you can see, it's like really a lot of ideas and activities for who is doing what and what can we propose. And that highlights the diversity of the activities we have between the different members. And that's the only first priority. And then you have the second, the third, and the fourth, and the fifth. So the idea is not to not talk about every line, but just to show you that just doing a little exercise with all the different colleges, and just to ask who is doing what, we have like a lot of proposals. So thank you again for the exercise. I think it was very useful. Yeah, it's it's a very large document. Yeah, 253 lines. And I think all members didn't full and send the documents, but so thank you again, Danny, to gather all the different things, but just to show you the diversity and the number of action we can take. So perfect transition to go after the governance. So just to let you know the different activities we will propose based on that document, and how we can build that together. For the first, as we also understand that we really need to reinforce and support the civil society. That was like a lot of members asked that, so especially the civil society college. So as requested, we will organize a workshop for the civil society, so to understand also their role and what they want. It's a civil society college, but I don't think maybe others can join, or to understand what the different networks, because we have some networks, regional networks, there's a lot of networks. So just to let us know what is going on. And that's for the regional civil society, but I think international NGOs can be interested, donors can be interested to understand, what is who we can speak with, and how we can act with you. Sometimes it's interesting. So that's we'll organize with the civil society next semester. And of course we will also underline the youth initiative. So we will organize 1 year after the One Forest Youth Forum. We will organize another youth forum conference before the conference of parties, and we will try to also understand what are the networks and how we can work with them. So that's really something we want to insist during our facilitation on civil society, the role, the regional networks, and I don't know how we can involve everyone on that on the different show, but we will send you, of course, that I mentioned. We will send you all the activities by mail, of course. So we will propose. So I will send you that in November. On more thematic areas, we really want to launch environmental crimes as a thematic issue. As you know, transhumance one worked pretty well, but it took a long time. Of course, it took 4 years to have like plans for the different countries, and we want to do the same with environmental crimes and how to struggle to fight against there's different smuggling, especially on woods. We really want to take advantage of the diversity of the actors of the region, but really want to have a short talk with you on that issue, because sometimes it's not sometimes different ministries. It's not only environmental ministries who are dealing with that issue. So we really want to have a very short, brief talk about that. So what do you think about that? Our idea is to have a regional conference in 2025. So we have 1.5 years to build something with the COMIFAC. It was a clear request from the COMIFAC to work on that topic. So it's not a proposal from the co-facilitation. It comes from the COMIFAC and Gabon, who said that it would be very interesting. So are you already working on that issues in your different structures? And how can you help us to build that conference? I know it's a very also a hard topic and a broad topic, but yeah, Dan.
Thanks, thanks, Lucas. Yeah, I think I will ask you a question first, but then I can expand on this one a fair amount. Because the United States and Norway recently launched something called the Nature Crime Alliance, and the Nature Crime Alliance is focused on. Well, here's the question. Like, we're making a difference or a distinction between environmental crimes and nature crimes, and an environment crime or environmental crime could be like you dump toxic waste somewhere in a wetland or something like that, versus nature crimes, what we've been focusing on, which is illegal logging, illegal wildlife trade, illegal mining. I'm forgetting something that I should remember. But anyway, just to say that, like, this is something like, as the United States, we've been making a lot of efforts, and as you, I think, are hinting at, it's often involving different ministries. Like, you need the law enforcement side of things much more than, like, if you're focused on conservation or something like that. You have to have the military or the police or investigators, judges, that sort of rule of law component is very important. So I think I can just say from the U.S. side of things that, like, founding members. So yeah.
Just to precise, yeah, it's more on nature crimes. Sorry if my English, or just to be precise, but in French we don't have nature crime, like we call that criminalité environnementale. That includes illegal logging and everything, and we really want to insist on that, as the CBFP is mainly on that issue. So it's yeah. So as you said, it's more nature crime we want to insist on.
Just to add on what you were saying earlier on the two things. One, on just to go back to civil society engagement and that being sort of front and center of the narrative for you guys. I just want to endorse that, I suppose, if not stating the obvious. I mean, all of the sort of bilateral program that we have from the UK, I I mean, we have to do a lot of scoping exercises for our programming, right? We have to go out and do consultations to design the program to make sure it's benefiting the intended beneficiaries, which inevitably our civil society and local communities in this part of the world, as they're the main drivers of deforestation, are driven through local communities effectively. So having that front and center is fantastic to hear. There's massive efficiency savings as well, I think, just to say on program design. If we can harness CBFP in terms of talking to each other and talking to civil society, it would save a lot of time to design our programs, and we would be able to share that information collectively on what the challenges for civil society and local communities are in different parts of the basin. They vary in Chopo and Ituri compared to, you know, Lebeke and Cameroon or whatever. They all have unique challenges on a micro level, and that information sharing would be exceptionally helpful in making us more efficient with our programming approaches. On environmental crime, just echoing what Dan said, and we're supportive of that from the UK. I mean, in terms of what we do, it's interministerial as well. But examples are, we have FGMC, which is one of our sort of flagship programs. They do a lot of support on traceability in the region, and we're going to be expanding that moving forward. So again, informing the design of that, going back to what I just said, would be very, very helpful. So we're supportive of a conference there in 2025. I think that would be great.
Yeah, thank you. I think the nature crime, as he said, it's a very important topic, and it cuts across. I mean, it's a regional issue. So I'm curious to know what will happen to the transhumance. Is it a priority, or I was in a meeting in Yaoundé a few months ago, and I see it's an issue that's at the intersection of security, climate change, biodiversity loss. And it's a problem that will be exacerbated by climate change. And here we are talking about aligning climate change and biodiversity. And this is a very critical issue we are facing in the region. And it's an issue that's also economic. It doesn't make sense to see that we have millions of cattle moving from Niger up to DRC now. And at the same time, we are consuming meat from Brazil. So it's an issue of economic integration as well. So, and we have private sector within our colleges. How can we elevate this debate so that we can help ECAS to think about economic integration in that area? Because if we don't talk about it during the tenure of French co-facilitation, it's as if we have solved it. So we have to keep elevate the debate and come up with, advise our countries and the regional economic group. How do we address this issue?
Yeah, no, but I mean, of course, I think it sounds interesting. I mean, this is questions that are super relevant, of course. We have, from our regional strategy, just started a program, also financing a program also about to stop or illegal wildlife trade, focusing on that as a part of our increasing focus on biodiversity as well. And also in the DRC, we have not only the Swedish Development Agency, but also another of our agencies working a lot together regarding the climate and security aspects, also, which also relates in one sense to these issues with nature crimes. So I mean, I think it's interesting topic, and we need to lift it more. I think there's a lot of sort of people. I mean, it's a lot of people that don't know sort of the magnitude of these issues we're talking about. So I'm very happy to hear about the initiative also by Norway and US regarding this initiative. I think it's very good, and it's a bit in line with what we're trying to do, of course, to raise the issues more about these topics. We also see, of course, the connection between the trade and armed groups, for example, if you look at DRC. So I think there's several good things that we can align there regarding both biodiversity and climate change, and of course, the nature crimes. So I mean, from my side, I think it sounds like a good idea to have this question as really sort of underline it and show it that this is a priority, especially if it's a demand from Comifac. I think it sounds amazing, actually.
Thank you very much. thank you very much for all the support on crime issues and nature crimes issues. Just to answer to Michel on transhumance. It is a very important topic for us. Of course, the previous facilitation, including Belgium one and the German one, spent a lot of time on that issue, and we won't drop transhumance because there was so much work, and it worked actually, because as instance you had the first conference in 2019 on transhumance. 3 years after, the European Union managed to include transhumance in their program thanks to that first conference. So that's the role of the CBFP. Like, raise an issue, and then 3 years after, some donors, some other partners include that issues in their programs. So for me, that's a really concrete thing that the CBFP managed to do. So we won't let the transhumance one, because I was also in Yaoundé in the transference conference. There were a lot of ministers from the region, and not only from the CBFP, because you have also Nigeria, Chad, and South Sudan, and there is also that needs to be funded. So we need to have a discussion, but they have to be funded from the donors, but also from the countries, because we need domestic resources, because if not, we won't manage to get a good appropriation for the plan. So that will be our job in the 2 years also, to keep the transhumance on the top of the agenda. We don't have the same experience as Germany in that issue. We are more on pastoralism, so it's different topic, because we also have to talk with some different ministries, but we will keep that, of course, and we won't let this work just drop after so much effort on that. And yeah, we definitely have to organize a meeting on that, on how we can continue to push that issues, and not only the co-facilitation, but also the members who are interested in. And the European Union is pushing strongly on that issue, because they developed some programs, and now they're waiting for some others to work on that. I know the Jeff is interesting to put some money on transhumance issue. I know Bezos as funds told us also they're interested in working on that issue. So we really think we need to support and to continue working on that. And we will in the next weeks organize and some meetings and some consultation on how we can continue to work on that issue. So very good transition, because we talk about the transhumance, but I don't know if other wants to talk about the transhumance, and I can open the floor if there is some question or remarks. Okay. Okay, so maybe we can continue. We can continue the other thematic issues. I don't know if you agree to work like that. We can just propose and explain a little bit of our activities, and you can react, or if you prefer, we can also have some other discussion. But just stop me if you want. So so that, yeah, it's okay. Okay, so that's a priority thematic 2. So on sustainable value chains, and that's another priority for us. That's the second one. We included transhumance on that issue. We will work on the consequence of the European Union deforestation regulation, of course. You know, when sorry? No. As you know, the European Union adopted a regulation on deforestation that can have huge consequences on small producers and enterprise. We have 18 months to apply this regulation, and we really need to support the different countries of the region. Some are more impacted than others. I know Republic of Congo, Gabon are not that much impacted by the regulation, but others like Cameroon can be. Our idea also is to maybe talk about the European deforestation, the EU deforestation regulation, but also other regulation that is going on. I know the US are working on a regulation on deforestation, but correct me if I'm wrong. But I remember that the UK also, Australia, New Zealand, like a lot of countries are addressing that issues of regulation, and we have the private sector with us. We have the donors who are developing the regulation. We have the countries. So let's talk to each other and let's talk concretely how to support their small enterprise to face or to adapt to this new regulation that are, from my point of view, essential for climate change, biodiversity, and environmental issues on the planet. So we'll do that with the European Union. They're not here, so unfortunately, I cannot talk for them, but the co-facilitation really want to address such issues in the next 2 years at the EU regulation will be implemented in the next 2 years. That's another topic. I don't know if someone wants to react on that, on the EU regulation or not, but that's something we will do. Next. What do we have next? I don't remember on the priority 2. Yeah, but on the second priority. Yeah. I don't know if you talk about that. Okay. Okay, on financial mechanism. So that's a huge request from the region. So how can we develop more financing in the region? So as I remember, as I said to the COMIFAC, we're not an international organization. We're only a partnership. So that we do is to increase dialogue, but we cannot finance more. That's a role of bilateral agencies for the role or philanthropy or the different ODA from the different members, but that's not the role of the CBFP. So the only thing we can have is to propose to how we can accelerate the development of such financial instruments or tools for the region. So we know that we have different instruments in the region. WCS are developing some instrument. We have the country packages we are developing with the different members, including the UK, US, France is doing that. So we really want to insist on these different tools better than propose or structure a new one. I know the German facilitation propose a reflection on the fair deal. That's also something interesting. So the fair deal is how to better finance the different forests in the region. I don't know if you received the report of the German facilitation. It was very interesting. There is some different reflection and thoughts in that. Of course, we will continue to promote the fair deal, but as a co-facilitation, we think we cannot propose a new fund. That's not our role. There is some still existing. We have the GEF, we have the Green Fund, we have the new tools, we have the country packages, we have the CAFI, and within the CAFI we have some regional programs, we have bilateral programs, so we have like a lot of things, and maybe our role is more to develop this, like accelerate the development of these tools, and we will continue to do that. But of course, we need a discussion with the different donors and different institutions who are working on financial tools to understand how also we can better promote these tools, not to request a fund, because if we create, I don't know how many funds there are in the region, including the Blue Fund and other, it's very hard to understand who is financing what and what is the different channels to get access to the fund, because that's also another problem, how the civil society can access to the different funds. That will be our priority 3. So how we can better be a platform between maybe some donors, some platform, some regional platform, and the COMIFAC and the CFSA to better make this organization. That's the third priority. And maybe it's the last one, because we already talked about the governance. The last one is maybe the more dialogue with the CAFI, of course, because they're very linked together. And I'm very happy that the US will normally join, as they announced 2 days ago at the event of the CAFI, and China. But more broadly, because we had a very interesting discussion under the umbrella of the CBFP yesterday, organized a side event on the discussion between the COMIFAC members and the private sectors, so how we can prepare the next Macau conference on sustainable legal wood. And we understand that we need to address not only China, but also others, Asian companies. And I mean, maybe ITTO wants to talk about that, but so how we can better dialogue with the private sector. The Chinese private sector is very important in the region. That's why we want to insist on that, but we can also enlarge to others. And we really want to start a dialogue between the different members of the CBFP and the private sector, the Asian private sector, more specifically the Chinese one, but it can be also Indian one, because Malaysian one, that are also some enterprise who are there, and how we can work on certificate, legality of food. That's very important for the countries of the region, and so that is important for the co-facilitation of the CBFP. So we will address also that. So the co-facilitation will be, will participate in Macau conference in 1 month on the global forum on sustainable and legal wood, and we will share that we heard yesterday night to the Chinese private sector, who are interested also in joining the CBFP. So we will have to also deal with that, and how we can better include them in the dialogue, to have a concrete talk on that issue. So that will be our fifth priority. I don't know if anyone has some remarks on that last issue. I think it's very important to have this dialogue with Chinese, Malaysian, and other companies, Asian companies more broadly. I don't know what, yeah, that's summarize on our different priorities we presented. Our next step, we will send a more formal document. Of course, you will receive that, and so including how members can can be involved in that different issues. So of course it's pretty new, so we will let you some time to think about it. So yeah, I talk very a lot, so yeah.
So on priority 5, what do we want to do exactly? Dialogue with China. I mean, what do we want? What's our strategic approach to this one?
Yeah, so that was a priority for Germany. So unfortunately, they can't be there today because they're stuck in the main room. But you know, it was a priority for Germany for 3 years and a half. They work on that, on how we can better include China on that issue, because China is a key player. We recognize that or not, but that's the truth, and that they're a key player in the region, especially for trade. So our idea is to share some concern of the region, but as we said, we have a clear talk yesterday with the minister Matondo, who said, but for us, China is not the problem. They have companies that respect the rules. For us, it's other region partners, and we have also a very interesting talk with ITTO. They're saying the same. So we don't want to point the finger on China and say, hey, you're a problem. That's not at all the thing. But as a key player and as a partnership for the region, we think it's a shame to not then have them on the table, just to say we have a dialogue, we have a partnership, so let's discuss and certificate on private sector. So how you involved in that issues, how we can more discuss, how we can share information, because for the moment, I don't know for others, but we have few information on that. But they are a key player. So how we can more include them in our work on scientific community, on private sector, of course, but also as the donors. So how can have leverage on that and how we can discuss just in terms of transparency and share of information. That's our goal for the moment. And our second goal, but that's the goal for Germany, and we have to also to discuss with Germany on that. But they developed a project. They have developed a project with between Germany, Comifac, and China on legal issues, on legality and traceability of the wood. And I think it's in a good way. So we really want to be in the continuity of Germany on that issue, and that we will share in Macau in next month.
Yeah, the reason I ask is I have a colleague based in China. She's leading a program to look at China investments in the world and the impact on conservation if they're investing in the places where it has high biodiversity value. And the question she has been asking me is what will be the right platform to share that kind of information? So, and what will be the priority countries? So she'll come visit our main office in Kigali next week. So I'd like to advise her which country should be looking for in the region on how she can use CBFP as a platform to generate information and share the information with the private sector in China.
Okay. Last but not least, yeah, last and not least, thank you, Danny. CAFI, of course, Central African Forest Initiative. As you know, it's a platform with 9 donors, with bilateral meetings, bilateral programs, so with six countries in the region, and 9 or 10 donors now. It's UK-led. The UK is in presidency for the moment, and we think we share exactly the same objective than the CBFP: how to halt deforestation and fight against deforestation and economic development. So, of course, we have a natural link with the CAFI, who is different. CAFI is not working on regional issues. Now we are working. The CAFI is launching some regional programs. But for a long time, it was only bilateral. So the CAFI, the 9 donors, are working with each country of the region. And that's still the main activities are organized like that. So the CBFP has a real clear added value to talk to a regional perspective. To more countries, of course, 11 countries in the CBFP, CAFI only 6. But we really want to strengthen the links between the two. So for the previous facilitation, the CBFP facilitator was an observer in the CAFI board meeting. But the question is how we can more involve CAFI in our work, because they're not part of the CBFP, but all donors of the CBFP are in the CAFI. So for me, it's quite natural. The link is quite natural. So of course, we will try to better associate them to our event. They couldn't be here today, but of course they will be part of all the reflection and the activities we will try to organize in the next 2 years. It was important to mention because I think it's very, very important to also always associate the two, the CBFP and the CAFI. Yes, so any remarks, because we have 5 minutes left? Okay, Andrew, first.
Sure, thanks. Do you want me to work backwards? I'm just thinking a comment on a different priority.
Yeah.
Okay. So on financial mechanisms, just quickly on that, I think the same principles that I mentioned before around what CBFP can achieve on that, not reinventing the wheel. There's a lot of different initiatives happening. I think it's great to have all these conversations. We had a carbon markets conference in Kinshasa earlier this week. It was great, good conversations. But linking the ambition there to the challenges on the ground, again, coming back to civil society, etc., who are supposed to be benefiting from financial mechanisms ultimately, I think CBFP could be well placed to link that up. I mean, there are huge challenges in the DRC with carbon markets and Red Plus failures, etc., etc. Why is that? Having those conversations openly with the relevant colleges probably would help feed into the FCOP country packages, etc., everything else that's going on. So I think there's a role for CBFP again to play as an interlocutor there on those sorts of matters. On CAFE, is something I've been saying for the best part of a year as well. And now that we're presidents as the United Kingdom and we co-chair the donor college, I think we're pretty well positioned to try and pull those together better. The other person in my team, Rachel Kretzis, is the CAFE board member and the sort of working level oversight of the presidency. So we sit next to each other effectively. So it should be easy to do. Yeah, would really welcome that. I think CBFP again providing that regional coordination perspective, whilst CAFE provides the programming and delivery side of things. They strategically fit perfectly together, mostly, and yeah, we just need to do that. And I think just more dialogue at a working level, regular conversations, regular meetings, thematic priorities, alignment, that type of thing. We can just do those things. Maybe it sounds easy to say and difficult in practice, but we can try. So yeah, that's it for me. And we welcome the US, of course. Fantastic addition.
I was just going to say, like, the connection, or there could be a connection between the work with China and Asia and the EU-DR. I'm just thinking in particular, the U.S. we're working a lot with Vietnam in particular because Vietnam receives a lot of West and Central African timber exports, and to try to assure that it is legal timber. And obviously, there's a connection to be made, like between EU-DR, like the timber goes to Vietnam, say, and then goes back to the EU. The EU needs to be certain that the timber was legally harvested. So I think maybe those two things could be combined, at least in some ways. And then just a suggestion, I would from the donor college to all the other colleges is I can say that our college is very interested to know what the other colleges are doing, and I'm just going to say this to Andrew right now, that perhaps one thing that we can do is when we do our donor college summaries, we can prepare them in a way that they could be shared with the other colleges, you know, the parts that are relevant that you may be interested in. So if we would be, I know that donor college would welcome any summaries from other colleges to know what's going on, and then see how we can coordinate better or contribute to what it is you're working on.
Yeah, just to add on that, that's a great idea. I mean, we have quarterly meetings with donor college members. We have long conversations about challenges, things that are happening, how we can work better together. And in the spirit of transparency, I think we'd be more than happy to share those conversations with other colleges and vice versa. And we'd also welcome other colleges to join as observers to listen in. We had a very late invitation for that at our most recent meeting, which I think was too short notice, but we'd happily have you come and participate and hear what we're talking about of relevance, and we'd happily come and join your colleges to listen in and hear the challenges that you're facing so we can try and figure it out together.
Merci. Je me présente encore. Je représente le réseau africain des droits des communautés. Et donc, je fais partie du collège de la société civile au sein du PFBC. Je suis ancien leader. Pour le compte de la société civile, ce que je peux dire, c'est que premièrement, il y a un besoin de renforcer le dialogue interne au sein du collège, parce que la société civile est assez diverse, assez large. Les jeux interviennent dans des secteurs différents. Il y a besoin d'harmoniser le discours à un moment pour faire du plaidoyer auprès des autres parties prenantes. Mais aussi au sein du collège, on est divisé en deux groupes. Il y a le groupe CEFDAC et le groupe non affilié à CEFDAC. C'est l'intérêt de renforcer le dialogue afin que la société civile ne soit plus deux groupes, mais devienne un groupe pas forcément homogène, mais un groupe unique qui parle au nom de la société civile. Donc il y a ce besoin de renforcer le dialogue interne au sein du collège, mais il y a aussi besoin de renforcer le dialogue bilatéral avec les autres collèges. Parce qu'avec le collège de scientifiques, il y a besoin qu'on s'approprie mieux du travail que font les scientifiques, mais aussi contribuer à l'identification des problèmes que les scientifiques doivent résoudre. Parce que la science doit résoudre des problèmes. Et la société civile est le terrain, elle peut aider la science à identifier les problèmes sur lesquels il faut se focaliser. Mais aussi le dialogue avec les autres collèges, le collège des bailleurs, parce qu'il y a la question de financement qui est cruciale pour la société civile. Et il est important que ces deux collèges se parlent mieux pour mieux connaître pourquoi il n'y a pas assez d'argent qui arrive directement auprès des organisations nationales, sous-régionales. Il y a beaucoup d'intermédiaires toujours, mais il faut qu'on comprenne c'est quoi le problème, s'il y a des capacités à améliorer, s'il y a des choses à améliorer. Il faut qu'il y ait ce dialogue pour renforcer le flux des financements qui arrivent directement auprès des organisations, auprès des communautés. Il y a ces questions qu'il faut résoudre, donc ce renforcement de dialogue avec les autres collèges, mais aussi, bon, vous avez commencé à le dire et c'est important, au PFBC, il se dit beaucoup de choses et c'est tout le monde qui est là, c'est, comment dire, c'est vraiment le seul endroit où tout le monde se retrouve, même si c'est tous les 2 ans, et essaie de discuter des problèmes de la sous-région. Mais à la société civile, on est parfois un peu frustré parce qu'on a le sentiment que les résolutions que nous prenons ici au PFBC n'influencent pas forcément les réformes qui se font au niveau des États dans le secteur de la gestion durable des ressources naturelles. Pour nous, l'énergie que nous mettons ici, c'est pour influencer la situation sur le terrain. Ce n'est pas pour que les résolutions restent là pour que 2 ans, on prenne d'autres résolutions, des très bonnes résolutions d'ailleurs, mais dans quelle mesure ça change la situation sur le terrain. Et c'est important de voir dans quelle mesure le PFBC peut davantage peser sur les réformes au niveau national, sur les réformes légales, les réformes de politique, afin de mieux intégrer les résolutions qui sont prises ici au niveau du PFBC pour que cela ait plus de sens. Je vous remercie.
Oui, une dernière intervention et après je vais clôturer parce que merci beaucoup.
Okay. Je voudrais juste, c'est le REFEAC, hein, je reviens encore. Je voudrais juste rappeler quelque chose. Nous avions bénéficié entre-temps d'un fonds pour renforcer les universités africaines en matériel de recherche. Et ce fonds était un fonds canadien avec quelques États européens qui étaient contributeurs. La deuxième phase était programmée, mais pendant la deuxième phase, le Covid est arrivé. Et pendant la période du Covid, les États européens avaient retiré les fonds qui étaient dédiés à la formation, sauf, bien sûr, le Canada qui avait gardé le fonds au niveau de la BAD. Et là, je viens de la Banque africaine de développement pour essayer de tenter de débloquer ce fonds pour que nous puissions exécuter ce projet. Mais comme c'est un fonds qui était multilatéral, selon ce qu'on m'a dit, il fallait attendre à ce que d'autres pays puissent contribuer, à la suite, on pourrait éventuellement mettre à la disposition du RIFEAC ce fonds-là. Mais nous nous sommes dit, avec le fonds CAFI qui est arrivé et le fonds de CBF, quel sera l'intermédiaire entre les deux fonds? Est-ce que nous serons en possession de ce fonds pour que nous puissions continuer à exécuter le travail que nous avons commencé à faire, dans la mesure où nous avons maintenant 2 fonds et CBF? Et on souhaiterait bien sûr que la co-facilitation puisse regarder ce problème et que nous puissions avoir un dénouement favorable pour le RIFEAC.
Ok, merci beaucoup. C'est un vrai sujet. Hein, on a bien vu les mails, etc. Donc c'est un vrai sujet. On va se pencher dessus un peu. On n'a pas eu le temps avec la préparation du sommet des 3 bassins, mais c'est un vrai sujet et je crois que on en avait parlé avec Dany. Donc voilà. Après sur le collège de la société civile, on partage totalement l'analyse avec CEFDAC, non CEFDAC. C'est l'idée de créer un atelier conjoint pour essayer de trouver une position commune aussi. C'est une vraie demande du collège et nous on veut y répondre. Donc on va vraiment organiser ça et on va essayer d'en voir les modalités avec les deux leaders de la société civile pour pouvoir aboutir à quelque chose de choses. Donc thank you very much, because I have a meeting I think with WCS just to do a reminder the three different next steps. So on the 28th of November we have the Governing Council virtual. At the COP28 we will have a high-level dialogue. We have a CBFP Comifac pavilion, so we will try to organize a high-level dialogue on the 9th, on the 10th of December. So of course, all members of the CBFP will be invited. We have to co-organize that with Gabon and the Comifac, so we will come back to you as soon as possible. And please save the date for the next meeting of party at the first week of June in Luanda, in Angola. For the first time, it will be the first meeting of party in Angola. So thank you very much again for coming today, and with the music and all the problems on the road, but really thank you for the support, and let's work together in the next two years, so we remain at your disposal. Thank you very much. Have a good day.